Hey guys, I am back. One of the things I wanted to mention is that um, just like the example I talked about in previous episodes, something I learned from um, from Scott Adams is when he wants to go to the gym and work out, he makes the goal going to the gym, not necessarily working out, not doing a certain number of reps. And that may seem counterintuitive because the whole point of going to the gym is to work out, right? But what if you are in a place where you struggle to go to the gym and work out? Well, what you do is you're doing what I've been doing for the past 2 months, which is moving the goalpost back, back, back. It's like when you have to run and jump over an obstacle, you have to think and consider and walk back. And the higher the obstacle is, you have to walk back. So if you think of your goals, if you think of walking them back a little bit, um, you still get over the goal. And if you go to the gym with the specific intention of walking into the gym, you end up working out. The same thing with this reading. I often say right before I get on, I actually don't feel like getting on. So what I do is I say, well, we don't have to read. All we have to do is click this start stream button, and we get our point, and that's it, right? But then once I get on, all of a sudden I'm in the mood to read, and often I'll plan to only read one chapter, and I end up reading, uh, 2 or 3 chapters, right? Just a couple minutes per chapter. But this is one of several ways in which you can hack your what you would, for lack of a better term, call procrastination or lack of focus or being demoralized or feeling defeated. There are ways where you can instantly get around that feeling and be productive anyway. And this is mostly frustrating. The most frustrating is when you have those feelings and you feel blocked for something that you genuinely actually want to do. That's the most frustrating feeling because you genuinely want to do that thing. You know, it's like saying uh, you want to go to the gym and you don't, and well, people will say, "Oh, that's because deep down you really don't want to." You can really want to, and you can have to. Actually, this doctor Robert Kagan, um, he's a physician, and he writes a lot about how people will go into the doctor and get a prescription and then proceed to not take their medicine even in the face of like dying, right? So if people w- not people if people don't take their medication even with the threat of death, what does that mean for those of us who want to just write a book, right? It's the same thing. And so what he does is he turns the question around and he says, not you, if this happens or if you don't take your meds, you won't die. It is, what would happen if you do take your medication? And it's a way to access some deeper intentions there because the answer to that question of, well, what are you afraid of happening if you do take the medication? The answer is something like, well, I'll have to admit that I'm mortal. I have to admit that I'm sick. And often the how we sabotage ourselves from taking medication and doing things like checking our blood pressure or going to the doctor is you now have to face your mortality. Whereas if you don't go, you can pretend everything's fine. right? Even when the doctor literally told you, if you don't take this medication, you'll die, right? All right. So Robert Kagan, that's another guy to look up. I think for tonight, I'm going to read just one chapter and then I'm done. Okay. All right. Let's read chapter 57. Stop trying to decide whether to. When your life is on a roll, do you ever notice how decision making can stop the whole thing? How it throws a monkey wrench into your creative flow? When I see people who are really stuck, they're usually trying to decide something. I'm trying to decide whether to leave my husband. I'm trying to decide whether to take this job. I'm trying to decide whether to do this report this afternoon or go to that meeting. And you can notice physically that these people are really out of sorts. They're really stressing out inside, feeling stuck. The beauty of being on the wing and in flight and in motion is that no decision ever needs to be made in that state of mind. The decision makes itself while you are in motion. You can watch this on the football field. You see players calling a timeout. The camera shows us the sideline where the coach's face is twisted and his head is jerking around like an agitated insect's while he's listening on the headphones. Why does he look like he's in so much pain? He's trying to make a decision. He's trying to decide which play to run. Indecisiveness is hard to watch, so we're almost glad to go to commercial. So now, out on the field, that play is finally being run, but something goes wrong. The defense has spoiled the play. So now the quarterback spins and runs out in the other direction. His receivers now come back to the quarterback to try to help him out. They have already run their routes. The quarterback is now just on the run. He's on the move and boom, he hits a receiver with a pass. The receiver turns upfield and runs through a confused defense. Look at that receiver now. He just may go all the way. Let's learn something from that great play. The quarterback says in the post game interview that he didn't ever really decide who to throw the ball to. The ball just flew out of his hand, almost by itself. There wasn't time to overthink it with a 330-pound guy about to flatten him. An opening appeared, a pass happened, and the receiver caught it and went upfield. These wonderful expected moments happen all the time in sports. When people do great things like that, they describe it as happening almost by itself. An opening appears and something happens before you can think about it. People later say weird things like, if it came to me, I didn't decide to do it, it moved through me. It came to me, I didn't decide to do it, it moved through me. It will move through you too if you get out of its way. Being in action opens the mind for such a shift. It allows intuition to decide things for you. It has you trusting your wisdom and not wasting time and energy trying to decide things. Chapter 58. Converting your energy into money. How do I convert my inner wisdom into prosperity? The first shift is to create a warm and relaxed relationship with prosperity, the very thought of it. I want to visualize the people my prosperity will help. including me and my family. I'm a person. I count as part of the category known as people whenever I think the words, I want to help people. Contrast that world friendly mindset to the thought produced condition that we usually fasten to, like tree toads. I am angry about my standard of living and fearful about money, clinging to every bit of loose change I have, and I'm resentful, mad at the government, and wondering which program is going to take care of me, and how come my health care can't be free, and how come this, and how come that. It's just a mass of worry and resentment around everything that has to do with money. Those money fears now produce my absurd fear of failure. I'm not realizing that I fail because I fear failure. And if I didn't indulge that fear or believe that it's really terrifying to fail at something, I would find the freedom to dare more things, to dare and then dare again, thereby getting fortune on my side. If the things I believe about make me afraid, then I want to usher those things out. But how? There are two ways that have worked for me. One is to get a coach. If you are serious about succeeding, I recommend having a coach or a mentor of some kind. Just as every athlete does, every actor does, everybody who really wants to succeed does. Athletes and actors can't afford to just get by or be mediocre. They must be really good to even maintain in their to even remain in their profession. Therefore, they all get coaches. Want to be really good at something? Get a coach. Always, no exceptions. Even Jordan Spieth has a coach. Find a life coach or a business coach and keep looking until you find one you really love and who really resonates with you. Find someone who will help you allow the fear of money to drop out and put those fears out there for your coach to be aware of so he can see them for what they are. If you don't want to do that or don't have the money to do that yet, I recommend you go to Byron Katie's website and go to her books because she's got such a great process for questioning limiting fear-based beliefs. Or go to Pransky and Associates and let George Pransky and his team of masterful counselors help you understand how humans really function in the world, how thought works, and why consciousness and the divine universal mind have your back. So, those are the two things I would immediately do once you have identified fear as a possible speed bump on the way to true prosperity. Now that the fear is gone, or at least seen for what it is, let's move. Rather than just pining away for a better job that suits your calling better, the real ascendance can happen immediately when you throw your heart into this job right here. That's how you rise up. Only after rising can you only after rising up can you see more. The better you do at any one thing, the more possibilities open to you. The higher you rise, the more you can see. It's a law of the universe. Then you just keep going higher. Most people mentally stuck and discouraged in their current work are victims of their own thinking. But spiritual insight and inspire action are the answer to this. This learning curve you've put yourself on keeps you evolving into things you love even more. In today's global market, with all the leverage that the internet gives you to reach out to the world instantly, it's much easier to find what you love to do and tap into it than it ever was before. A lot of people I know are writing books. They would never have dreamed of writing books before because in the past, not too distant past, if you wrote a book or you had to find a publisher to approve of and accept your work. Otherwise, your book would never be in any bookstores, and so people would not have a chance of reading your book. Shelf space was everything. But today, you can skip all those steps. You can publish your own book, and people can buy it off your website. You can put it on Amazon after you have published it yourself, and people buy it not knowing or caring whether your book has been published by a major publisher or is self-published. A lot of authors today who have had books published by major publishers also self-publish some of their books, and their readers don't know which is which or care. Who cares? If a book is good, why do I care where it was published? The same goes for music or blogs or any other product or service you create. There's an old saying that actually rings true. Do what you love and the money will follow. People love to pay for things that are lovingly created and joyfully delivered. They don't like paying for things that are reluctantly delivered with poor work behind them. So even if you aren't doing the one true calling you would love what you are doing. Start there. To succeed, we must embrace the linking of love, service, and wealth together. We must be enlightened enough to see it because the global marketplace is fertile enough to receive it. Love, service, wealth. Love, service, wealth. If I can get that pattern going, get that rhythm happening, I'll get that syncopation going in my mind. What do I love to do for people? How can I serve more people with it? And wealth will come as a result of that. In the past, it was different. In the very near past, it was duty, it was obligation, it was figuring out a way to win approval so that you could earn a living. It was winning a position somewhere. And it was all a struggle because it was all about manipulating and playing politics, winning people over, and playing the corporate game. All those old style hierarchical structures of companies based on the old monarchical systems where there are superior humans and subservient humans are no longer sustained. Now that whole paradigm is being dissolved by a simple mind shift. Individuals can now simply choose to do what they love, then sell it and make their money. All right, guys. We'll start reading chapter 59 in a couple of days. Everybody, have a good weekend, guys. And as always, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, book a call with me, and let's chat. All right? End stream.